Alright, so today we're going to be looking at a scenario where the Colonial Empires of my Season 1 Wixo series have came back to the modern world, or came to the modern world. So you gotta remember that, first of all, that this series has multiple episodes, and the rule is, for this to actually work, the rule was that the empires must be at their colonial peak, not their territorial peak. Because while the Danish country, for example, had all of Europe at one point, that was before they went colonial. So that doesn't count. And this is their colonial holdings. Now, however, here's the thing. This is their colonial peak. So at their colonial peak, they were militaristic, so we will still discuss that. However, the scenario will be completely different from the one in the series as this takes place in the modern world. Also, areas like Britain have gotten their colonial empire, and see the U.S. Here. The U.S. here, they retain their modern borders. Why is it that they retain the modern borders, you may ask? Well, because the USA has been brought into the Wisco series during like one of the later episodes. So the thing is, the problem is that all of Canada was owned by Britain. And we're going to ignore this border region, even though they were practically owned by them. But yeah, the modern U.S. will retain its borders because the modern U.S. is in this world. With the ground rules out of the way, we will now cut to when I unite the U.S. map, because I have a map where the U.S. states are broken up, so yeah. So we have the United States being complete, so now we can start this whole thing. So first up, the Danish have been heavily militarizing in the series, and they've been brought to the modern world. But they were brought in when their militarization was complete. So in this era, we did have that being called World War II, pretty much, but this is World War III because now it involves the modern countries. So modern countries will be a forefront for this. And first up, the Danish will begin over here in Germany. So have them pushing into German lands. You take over these areas and, well, yeah. I think the key difference here is that the Korean team is actually a lot more smarter here, since they know if they try to bring themselves in, then China, like bring themselves into the other team, then China will try to reclaim its land, and Russia too. So I think they're going to go with the smart decision of deciding to join the Allies, or these countries, which is the Allies, which is Britain and the Red Team. I think the Brown Team was involved on this team, which is why they will be switching to they're more better towards the Allies in this timeline, because if they went with the Danish, they would instantly probably decolonize because of China. Actually, no, Russia, because Russia outclasses them. But that's besides the point. But things will go way differently, way more differently, as way more countries that they can take over. So Czechia's first. Then we have Poland, save you the details. Austria, save you the details. And well, yeah, they're gone. And France will be a little more harder to invade, but it's still doable, especially because they invade Belgium and Luxembourg. Yeah, Germany did it, so Germany did it, and they plundered France. The same will be said here. I think the key difference, though, is that the militarization, like they push into more areas. That's obvious. But also, you gotta remember that while yes, the Balkan Union doesn't exist, there are countries who will take the opportunity to pretty much pounce. First up, in order to show that their allies will get the same color as Denmark, that doesn't mean that they're a part of it. It just means that they're an ally. First up, Croatia, because they lost land here. Second up, Serbia, due to their alignment, because I think Denmark rigged a bit here. Then Romania, because yeah. Then Ukraine, as they hate Russia. Although, actually no. Ukraine will end up getting occupied, but they will not come back out of this war. Moldova's forced in, and then Slovakia is forced in. And then the rest of the countries here will end up getting invaded. But that's not all. They will try to regain their Balkan holdings and yeah, and Russia. I mean, this timeline we don't have the Nordics actually joining in. This is more a European war than anything. So yeah, we have this area being okay. My bad. Let's switch colors. Okay, we have this area being taken. Then we have Hungary. Then yeah. Then we will have the Russians hold the front, as all these governments basically just collapse and fall to the Danish, so they don't ever get liberated. And as that stands, Russia can end up pretty much take whatever land they want out of it if they so please. But I mean, they will, most likely. That also means that Hungary and they can pretty much the blue team, which will technically also include the red team and the British and the brown team, despite this area. I think Russia and in this area will end up working it out eventually. I don't think the upper Manchurian areas are that important to them anyway. Besides population. Besides population. Because they were about to get a lot more population out of this area that they couldn't get otherwise. But yeah, the red team and the British team by now have most likely joined the war. And yeah, well, for one, these two are a lot more stronger. They're a lot more stronger than. They're a lot more stronger than the Danish team. So obviously they're gonna succeed a lot more. And well, first up though, Russia will liberate their land because they never got fully integrated. Although now it's time for the big frickin' showdown as Russia plows through these lands, occupy Crimea. Yeah, and well, yeah, they're plowing. We will honestly see much more of a different peace treaty here just because this is the modern world. But I guess the borders itself will kind of basically be the same-ish. No, I think they will be the same. Not mostly the same. Not everything will be the same. Oh yeah, we have. Oh yeah, before you ask, yes, Hungary is occupied by Russia, but they're not. They're also pretty much the only country that actually gets liberated here. The reason why is because they aren't the one. They actually surrendered and gave in to Germany. Oh, sorry, I mean Denmark. They gave in to the Danish demands and they kept their government. The rest though, and honestly, Hungary actually switched sides when Russia pushed in, so they will get land out of this. Yeah, either way, these areas and the the Germans will get split up by the Russians and the French. The red team does push in a bit through these blue areas, and yeah, they're there. They're just not labeled. As I want to get through this because we've already seen this happen. So it's no point. So yeah, the Danish completely collapse. Their colony will gain independence, and yeah, once again, this is basically a repeat of the World War II we had in the other timeline. Except here, it's technically World War III. Although, I would say this time the U.S. wasn't really... Okay, the U.S. was sending supplies over to Britain, but they weren't involved. But they will still probably make that alliance with Britain eventually. So, yeah, anyway, let's take a look at a peace treaty, which will go pretty similarly to the World War II peace treaty in the other timeline, except they will be different. Okay, so we basically have a completely different peace treaty. Now, I will like to note that some similarities will end up happening. Like, this original Danish team, the one over here in Denmark, this one, it still exists, but it's converted into a democracy, which basically just makes it the normal Danish government here. They just lost Greenland, pretty much. And there will still be an alliance. Like, this... Hang on, let me duplicate this real quick. Hold on. So there will still be an alliance. The difference is the key members in this alliance. as well. Britain obviously is there along with the colonies. The red team along with their colonies, and yeah, that's and I believe also the brown team gets involved eventually. But then we also have the puppet state was technically in there, roped in there. But anyway, the way this alliance is split up is much more different. As the US, instead of not being the leader, it pretty much is the leader. Because they found the alliance, not the red team. Well, actually, the red team founds it, and then the US joins it as a key member. And that's that. And we also have to count in Denmark, but also you gotta remember, this Germany, this is technically one whole Germany with Prussia. Then we have Bavaria still being a thing, but instead of being shifted around, it's actually in its geographical location. And then we have France being a full thing with their borders, their eastern borders, pretty much still intact besides like the red team and like the British. But then we also have Switzerland as an independent country still, and Austria as an independent country still, along with Czechia. So yeah, that's how that's split up. However, I would like you to know that there's still a Russia, and this is the equivalent of the square team. This is the equivalent of the square team in this timeline. So yeah, this first of all is Russia's core thing. We have this being a thing. And yeah, this doesn't even account for the CSTO. These members are pretty much just added onto the CSTO. And, well, yeah, we're gonna, we can honestly say that this is just some NATO level bullshit because, as you can see, NATO is pretty much back, but all over the world this time. And yeah, that's pretty much what the alliances are for. And now this is when the border agreement happens, but I think we're just gonna end it here because yeah, we've got enough footage. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this. I've actually gotta say that this has turned out to be a really good concept. And before we end up signing off, for one, I'm thinking about redrawing the Wisco Season 1 map and restarting everything from here. I've done this colonial thing as a test to see if I could redraw in the core colonial empires. But now I think the harder part is actually doing that, but with the Wisco countries. So yeah, anyway, on that note, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a new video.